which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Preble Town Board meeting of September 9th, 2019. Are there corrections, additions, or deletions to the regular meeting of August 12th?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Jane?
Dog control, one dog adopted, 90 miles traveled for the town. Justice report, August fines, $16,236.
Thanks, Jane. Highway report, we'll wait for Jeff to get back. Recreation, nobody's here from Recreation. County Legislature, Don Boyden was not here. Let's see. Jane?
Zoning and code, 2 building permits issued, 80 miles traveled for the town, 9 building inspections, 47 hours worked, 2 fire inspections, 15 complaint follow-ups, 27 telephone inquiries. Planning board meeting is September 25th at 7 o'clock. ZBA meeting October 3rd, 7:30.
Thanks, Jane. Town historian, Jay, you have anything to say?
Still plugging along.
Okay, all right. Jane?
We collected fees of $272, dispersed $249 to the town of Preble, and $23 to New York State Egg and Markets.
Okay, we'll get right into new business. We have a guest speaker tonight, and her name is Cindy Van Patten Young from the Agency of the Aging. Cindy, you've got the floor.
Any special spot where you'd like?
There, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you for having me, everyone. I have to say, I recognize and know a lot of people who are here tonight, so it's nice to see you. And these are my old stomping grounds. So, I work at the Office for Aging here in Portland. I've been there for about 4 years. Prior to that, I worked in area nursing homes for many years. And with my role at the Office for Aging, one thing that we're doing is going out to all of the communities within the county to talk about, what is going well within their community as far as seniors go. We're even looking at conversations with folks who are 45 and older, because individuals 45 and older, before they know it, they will be looking for services in the future. So we would just like to have a conversation with all of you just to talk about what is going well in Preble for seniors, what may be some of your challenges. And we do have a survey that is very simple. It's put out by the New York State Office for Aging. And our goal is to, this year, have 1,000 people participate in this. And it's very simple, talks about housing issues, transportation, insurance, caregiving, demographics. So if you don't mind, I'd like to pass that around and see if folks can help us fill that out. Our meetings with different communities help us to determine what our plan will be for the next 4 years. And we do share all of this information with the state. And it's important for us to know how you folks are feeling. We did have a group that met in Scott about a month ago, and Jeff Griswold was there and gave us a good insight on how things are going in Preble. So that's my reason for being here tonight. And I have some questions for you, and just like it to be informal. We start out with, how are things for seniors in the town of Preble?
Well, there's nothing here for seniors. We don't have a senior center.
Okay,
like other communities have,
yeah. Now, there was one a
A
few
long
years
time ago.
ago. Yeah,
quite a few years ago.
okay.
Jan.
Are any of the, well, to your knowledge, are that are interested?
I'm
In a
sure-
senior
I'm
center.
sure it would be.
Okay,
I think the reason, I've been here 43 years. And I think maybe the reason why Preble was, because of financial, it was cut out of the senior part. I don't, I think they wanted us to go to Scott.
okay.
Well, some of us, don't wanna go to Scott, maybe we don't have transportation.
Yeah.
We'd like to see it in Preble.
Okay, and those are things that I can bring back, to our director.
Who makes the decision to have a senior center?
Well, anything that involves the state, there's many different layers. I'm sure that if there is a strong interest, well, I should back up a little bit. Right now, I'm sure you all are aware that budgets are very tight. And I don't know what the future, what the viability is, but I know that I can take that information back, share it with our director. There's the layers of the state regulations. I do think that one of the, some feedback that we received from the senior centers is that in the past, people used to bring in, dishes to pass. If there was extra food, people could take that home with them. And there are really some pretty strict state guidelines that prohibit that from happening. So there is a group that meets in Virgil, and they meet independently. And they don't have to follow all the rules and regulations, but they meet regularly. They sometimes have input from us, but no oversight.
Services, well, I mean, they just get a bunch of older people get together
They
and
do,
do their own thing.
yeah.
So the Office for the Aging does not service them at all.
We don't, but we offer to go out to give educational programs. I'm sure a lot of people know that starting from October to December is the annual open enrollment for Medicare. So, we canvass different communities, and it doesn't have to be the senior centers. It can be, any type of group, and we can provide education, support. So,
Members of the Virgil group.
yeah, and I hear that's very active and very
Yeah.
viable,
I
and
take a couple trips a year.
yeah,
And
senior
there's-
trips.
Yeah, and there's anywhere from like 40, sometimes up to 70 or even more there every month,
And how often does it meet?
once a month.
Yeah, and that's a great number of people, and rumor has it you guys are doing great.
They do.
So that's a possibility too. Any idea as to the number of individuals that might have an interest in a senior center or getting folks together, formally or informally?
I know there was a half a dozen guys that used to go down to the gas station for coffee every morning, and I don't know, if you broke it up so that they had a place to go for a couple hours in the morning for coffee, or
Yeah,
every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or whatever. I know been brought up to me that it was at the fire station before, and it would have to go before the commissioners, and
yeah.
they didn't think there would be a problem there, but somebody gotta be in control of the door, locking things up, and
That's right.
not things up, locking the door,
Yeah.
and making sure everything is set that way.
Yeah.
Does anybody know the statistics of what's the average age in Preble?
Actually, I looked that up.
Oh, good.
45.
Well.
That's actually pretty young. So, population is 1,300, around there. And I don't know how many seniors are.
I was gonna say, I think it's clustered. We have, it's a 45, but we've got a large group of seniors and then, some younger people.
Yeah.
So the average isn't really representative
Right.
of what
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
Extreme on both ends.
Mhm.
I know Charlotte Morgan, she asked me to, talk for her a little bit. She would like the monthly dinners, and I know that's something that the county can't get involved. Or if the county does get involved, then like you said earlier, it's a state thing and you have to hire a director and you have to monitor the food and the food has to be locked up. But this is something that I think we could do on our own, we're just looking for, how many people are interested in.
Right, and we certainly could, offer different educational programs and, we can share information with you as to, how, information that might be helpful about.
So you
The
can
other
come to an
senior
independent
groups.
meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, if we did develop a senior group, I'd just assume it was independent. So that's my own feeling.
Yeah, like had mentioned before, Virgil, they are independent and, it sounds like you guys have had a positive experience there.
But don't most of the senior centers meet every day?
Oh, it depends.
I mean, I see in the paper.
We do have, there's 8 centers throughout the county, and some of them are larger than others. Cortland is the largest, followed by Homer. Willett has one. They have a core group of folks who come. Hartford is a pretty active group. They like their independence too, so. What are the other ones? Hartford?
Tully has one too.
Yeah.
And there's about 20-25 from Preble that go.
Yes.
And the one at the fire station used to be here at the fire station until the fire station caught on fire. And then it was ceased.
Oh. I guess I never knew the fire station caught on. In the 80s, 90s?
I don't remember what year. A while back.
Yeah.
Don't look at me that way.
But that, if you folks want to, get together and talk more amongst yourselves, if you want to have a separate meeting, we're happy to give any information that we have. So that's great to see that.
Pay taxes in New York State, that part of the Office for the Aging is, our taxes.
Yeah.
And I would like to see not once a month meeting. I mean, Virgil might be happy with meeting once a month. I think weekly would be nice, not once a month. And, we have a community, right here downtown, Preble, wherever you want to call it, that people could walk to our roads a month.
Okay. Now, some of the centers are open daily. Some of them are open 3 days a week, 4 days a week. So it does depend on the interest within the community and the number of folks who are coming. So, well, that sounds great. Great. What about some other areas within the Preble Township that seniors might be having trouble with? What about getting to doctor's appointments? Anybody that you know of that has trouble with transportation and getting to their doctors, whether it's Tully, Syracuse, Cortland? Nothing in particular? Okay. What about caregiving? That's one thing we've heard from other groups is that families don't stay together, living in the same community. The families are smaller. Many children tend to move away. And sometimes that creates a lack of caregiving for the individual that is getting older and needing more assistance. Do you see that among any folks in town?
No, I think that pretty much the family and neighbors right now is taken care of. I mean, I haven't heard of anybody that's,
I'm a caregiver.
alone,
Yeah, I'm a caregiver for anybody who knows that needs something. I've been doing it now for about 20 years.
Yeah. Now Jeff had mentioned at our last group neighbors are helping neighbors. And we're seeing that in other communities as well.
So
And we're fortunate to have that because our demographics are changing.
So we're exploring the concept of elder care houses, elder care apartments. Are you
Okay.
familiar with that? I mean, several towns in Tompkins County have zoned for them, and so we're considering that.
I can tell you that with the Office for Aging, that is a service that we help a lot of folks in finding housing. And it's nice when folks, want to be in one of the housing options in their communities. Marathon has one, Cincinnatus, I think, has 4 units.
Yeah, so this is like a different approach. This is putting an auxiliary dwelling unit on, let's say that your parents need assistance.
Oh,
and they live on
okay.
your
Yep.
property, but independently.
Okay, like the little houses?
Exactly.
Okay.
So do you know if any communities within Cortland County have done a similar thing?
No.
I mean, we know that Groton and Dryden, for example, have. In Tompkins County, Office of the Aging has the units available for lease.
Okay, we do not.
Right.
But yes, we have heard of that.
Okay.
And that is a great concept, and it does depend a lot on the town zoning and all that, but yes.
Okay.
I'm sure, I know I would like something like that as I get older, so my kids can't get away from me. So, no matter where they are, I'll follow them. So, yeah, that's very proactive. Great idea. And Preble is located so close to 81 that you can, folks from here can travel pretty easily, I think. More so than some of the other towns. So, what about the economic stability for seniors within the community? A lot of folks, work diligently to live on their Social Security, have no savings. We can try to assist them with different services. But of the seniors that you can think of, anyone struggling? You guys have a cohesive community here, so you don't have, a lot of support. What else? Let's see what's on the list. Safety. Do people feel safe living in their own homes in Preble, in the community town? How many people still leave their doors unlocked? Nobody's gonna. I bet there's a lot. Are most older individuals, folks that have grown up in this community and have decided to remain here, and is their goal to continue to live at home, age at home, as opposed to moving, say, to an apartment in the city, Cortland, Syracuse? Do people want to live in their own?
Yeah, I think that's pretty high in this area.
Yeah. What about services like snow plowing, lawn mowing, helping with, odd jobs around the house, painting, things like that? That's another thing we're looking at for
That
making
would be
sure their
helpful.
services.
That would be helpful for
Okay.
older people that can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think
Do you want to come over
at least
Wednesday?
kind of my feeling about
No,
this is that,
stay.
we
I
haven't
knew you'd
really
do it.
focused in
I'd
on
wait.
the aging, on the elderly as a town. I mean, I think that
They're out
Other-
there and that's it.
well, and there are other community organizations that may have, but I think, we're thinking about some ideas, and it would be great to figure out how
Yeah.
we can collect those in one place and start to
That's
educate our citizens on what's available already, and then what things that they might need. So I think
Right.
the survey is a great idea.
Right. No, that's wonderful, and it's nice to see that interest in the, with the town board members. So. So that really is kind of, what my purpose in coming tonight is for, to distribute the surveys, see if you have any particular thoughts, interests, and if there is an interest in things, and if you think that the Office for Aging can assist, provide any information, we're more than happy to do that.
Okay, should we follow up with you personally or with?
You can follow up with me. I did bring some cards.
Okay.
Or our director, who is Elizabeth Haskins.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I think, one of the things that we talked about informally was this notion of the senior center, and, are there grants that we should be looking at applying for, or whatever, to help us kind of fund physical development, physical property, that sort of thing?
Well, that is something that we could explore further, and something perhaps our director has more information on. And I can go back and, have her get in touch with you folks.
Yeah, because it may be that if we invest a little bit of money in physical plan,
Yeah.
That can facilitate getting something like that opened up, and then the programs could be whatever the programs are.
Right. Yep. I'll talk with Liz and we'll get back to you.
Now with these surveys, you want them to come back to us, and then we'll get them to you?
You can do it that way, or it is county government, so we don't have pre-stamped envelopes. But if they could be sent back down to us at the Office for Aging, that would be great. Or, if you folks want to collect them. I have some, if there's other people within the community who'd like to fill them out, and I can stop by. So they're very basic, but it will give us information that.
Well, Dave, you could drop them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm.
Dave could be our point man
Yeah.
for Preble.
Yeah.
We get them back to Dave and he can drop them off at your office.
So as you get them filled out, get them to me, and I'll make sure that.
Okay,
Cindy
wonderful.
Just get some, so.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Because you can't get help if you don't ask for it, or if they don't need, you need help. So
Right.
That's the main.
We do find that, especially, individuals oftentimes living in the more rural towns, they tend to keep to themselves. They don't want to draw attention to themselves. They don't want people to know that they're struggling. So,
It's a pride.
right. So, we look to the communities to help their fellow seniors. I don't know what to do with them. I have some generic cards. Any other questions, comments? Quite quick. This is through the New York Connects program, which is part of the Office for Aging. And my name's on.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't know how much we really want to get the county involved, other than for the lessons and things, because, the information with the insurances and stuff, I think is a huge help, because it's very confusing. Anybody getting ready for Social Security, I know you don't actually do that, but you can get them guided in the right direction.
That's right, yep.
And I think what we're kind of looking at is to have our own dinners and stuff. That way, it doesn't have to come from you, and we
You don't have to follow all those rules and
director and all that
regulations.
stuff. Start simple, and we can expand from there, whether it's, going for couple days a week, or morning coffee or whatever, and see how many people are interested.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to start someplace.
Your older folks in the community will certainly benefit from that. So, okay. I have some brochures. If you guys want to hand them out. Thank you hi.
You're from the county. I came a little late. You're from.
Yeah, I'm from the Office for
Okay.
Aging, Area Agency.
The buzz at the morning coffee gang, guys, is that it's budget time in the county. and that the proposed budget as it stands may give us an 8% tax increase? Any truth to that?
Well, actually, that wouldn't come from me.
All right, I didn't know if you'd heard any buzz downtown.
Yep.
The second thing is, they said that one of the things would be on the chopping block, which always is senior centers and different things, and you're asking us if we can promote to maybe get senior center,
Mhm.
and yet the rumor around at breakfast is that they're gonna be cutting senior centers, so
Right.
where are we really
And-
landing here?
Yep, and that's a possibility. We actually would never know from the department heads to put together a budget.
Yeah.
And we don't know, where that's gonna go, and it kind of goes back and forth. It goes, to before the legislature, and then it goes back for revisions, and that's one of the reasons bringing up Virgil. They don't have anything to do with the 8 county senior centers. They meet individually, and they're doing well. And they don't have all of the red tape and the regulations.
Yeah.
But the Office for Aging could provide educational programs or information on how our centers are going. We can provide information and not be involved at all.
I just wondered if there was any, if you had any inkling of whether that's any truth to it or not. And I know that every time they come up with a budget, the first thing they start out with we gotta make cuts, and it seems like every time it's senior centers, Medicaid,
Yes.
the HEAP program and all the county sponsored stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all knuckle under and say, well, raise the taxes and give us back our services.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're looking at 8%, you wanna know what's bothering the old people? They're taxing us to death.
Right. Yeah. I
Vernon
hear
County's
you.
looking at 8%, the taxes right here in this town 2 years ago went up 28%. It's the old people, the old people, it's gotta be killing them. And even if you got some money, you can't just give it all away, or
Right.
you won't have any money.
Yeah. So right now, there is a lot of talks going on about, as everyone knows that, about the budget. So we really don't know. I'm a supervisor, I'm not
Yeah.
the department head. But I know that every year, it's nerve wracking, and, it's hard for, our county government to make the cuts they have to make, and it's pretty complicated, even at the town level. Good luck with all of your
Thank you for coming, Cindy.
planning. So,
Yes.
thank you. Bye now.
Okay, monies received. We received $1,771.89 from Northeast Transformers. We received $741.92 from USPS. 3 events that are coming up that have to do with the town board and the town hall. Well, not so much the town board, but on Wednesday, September 25th, Harris Weiss, who is a representative for Congressman Brindisi, is going to have an open house here at this building. This is Wednesday, the 25th, from 10 o'clock in the morning to 12 noon. So if you want to pass a message on to Congressman Brindisi, you have the opportunity to do that on September 25th. Thursday, September 26th, Chris Carrick of Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board is going to be here to put on a talk about solar, and he's going to use our building as a showcase for that talk. So that's 6 p.m. Thursday the 26th. On October 3rd, our town board is going to have a tour of the jail, the Cortland County Jail, with Bud Rigg, and that's at 6 p.m. So we're not going to meet before that, so I'm just reminding the board members to show up at 6 o'clock at the jail, and we'll get a tour. So we've got those 3 items I want to pass along. We are going to review our procurement policy. That's going to be sort of dry and maybe drawn out. So at this time, I want to open the meeting for public comment. If anybody has any questions or comments that they want to make, you can do it at this time. Yes?
I just wanted to say that I just went onto your new webpage that was updated. I love it.
Mm.
And this afternoon I listened to August's board meeting, and I enjoyed that too. However, I wish there was a way that you could say who was talking out here in the audience part. You know, there was a lot of people talking. I figured out some people because I live in Preble, but some people I didn't know who was talking. I don't know if that can be changed or they can bring their name up before they talk.
Well, we have an IT specialist at the table here. Don.
Well, no, that's a procedural thing. It's like you gotta announce their name.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think that'd be the
All right,
simplest
announce
way.
my name. I'm Dawn Lewis.
Okay, right.
You know, if you
Right.
don't know who I am, I'm
Right.
sure you do.
Right.
So, and then there was another thing I wanted to ask you. I was here too because I had heard on the Facebook about the senior center, and that somebody was going to show up. But who put it out there was the Department of Maintenance. I saw on their webpage, not on the town board's
Mhm.
webpage. I wish more it could have been out here so we could have gotten more seniors here to give ideas what they'd like to do. And that wasn't. And one last thing. I remember a while back where Preble had grants for people who were low income and would help out with repairing of their houses and stuff. It's a government type thing. Do they still have that, or do you have to go someplace else?
We had a block grant here a number of years ago. It was maybe 8 years ago or so. And it lasted for, I think, 4 years. And a lot of those block grant projects, well, most of them they're all completed, but there were liens on properties that are now coming off after 5 years. So that whole project is coming to an end. And I think we can get a block grant 6 years after the last one finished. So we can apply for another block grant. That's possible. Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of the senior part too.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
There's older people here that have serious medical problems and can't do their own work for themselves anymore. And we're just growing. This community is getting older and older, and there isn't services in the town. I mean, I'll give you an example. We have only one car, and now my husband has to go 3 times a week to Cortland for dialysis. So I have to work around, you know, if I have to go to the doctor, they work around, you know, the days he's off. I mean, I've ever considered calling up that bus, you know, to take me to my appointments. But that's why I'm involved in trying to get more senior office for the aging here. So I was glad she was here. That's all I have to say.
Well, Preble is typical of other communities in central New York, all of central New York, actually, where the young people grow up, they get out of school, and then they move.
No.
They go to where the jobs are. They go down south, and the older people are left here. So we're finding that with the fire department, they don't have younger people coming in filling these positions. We find it around this table of town board members. It would be nice to have younger people coming up and interested in these positions. So we do have a dearth of younger people in the town, and it would be nice to have more young people involved in the community. But they're not around. They leave.
No,
Yeah,
all of our R's are gone.
yeah. Any other questions or comments? Anybody?
Well, I know there's nothing you can really probably do about it, but when we first moved here, it was quite a quiet community. And you know, the mega farms have been quite busy going up and down the road. And that creates a little bit of a disturbance, especially for older people.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
I mean,
And that's not all.
my husband
Sometimes-
says they don't put on their brakes right or something. They don't do something. They don't have to make that kind of noise.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of transport trucks going down the road too, on
Mhm.
Preble Road.
Mhm.
And I don't know, at one time there was some effort to prevent that, I think, but
I don't know. I don't really know what we could, I mean, the farms are out there, and there's only one way to get to them, and unfortunately, it's two of the bigger farms are gotta go by your house. So.
They can adjust how they slow
Yeah,
down in the town of
Yeah, they
Preble.
go pretty fast.
Well, we could have the law enforcement in here, and
Well,
why
if
should-
you remember, there was at one time a sign out there to slow down what your speed was. They didn't put it up. But it slowed the cars down. I'm not saying anything against the farmers. It's the way they slow down to turn the corner, how loud it is. Just come and sit outside of Preble all day all week and listen to it. It goes on from 6 o'clock in the morning to probably 5 o'clock at night, delivering their shit.
Sometimes it starts at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of early.
And it goes on all day, 5 days a week. And I know I've been in some communities where they have some sign that says how many decibels a trucker needs to know before he can go downhill. Well, they could do the same thing, or not having to go downhill, but to brake it correctly. Does anybody know
Talk
about
it, Jake.
big trucks and braking? Nobody's gonna say anything,
Yeah,
are
it's
they?
noisy.
Yeah,
We live in an agricultural community, we're gonna have farm vehicles.
but it's not, I'm not talking about your.
I know, now I tell you what the short answer to what you do,
Mhm.
call Dave Griswold.
Okay.
No, honestly, God, I talked to Dave over and over, Dave does not like his trucks upsetting people.
Well, they're loud. But there's something
I
else.
just want to say something along those lines. I hear the trucks too, because I live on Steger Road. But it used to be where a lot of these people driving the trucks were your neighbors that were running these farms. But now you have outside services that are driving these trucks, and manure trucks and feed trucks and harvest trucks and everything. And these people don't live here; they live somewhere else, and they're not necessarily intimately aware with the streets and the neighbors and the people that live here. And so, yeah, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, I hear a truck just, as loud as can be going down my street, and it can be a little bit nerve wracking. And so a lot of the people that are driving these trucks are not from here. They're from somewhere else, and they're just doing a job. So they don't have the same sensitivity as if they're one of your neighbors.
But then maybe nobody's told them it's bothering us. They should be informed where they're working.
Right. Right. I think Sparky has a good idea. Is call Dave
will
Griswold and
handle
let
it
him
as
know.
best he can.
I don't know if it's him. It's his trucks.
Well,
As far as
his are
speed
fairly
goes, the
quiet.
flashing,
The Preble milk trucks are very
the
quiet.
flashing
Yeah, that
lights
don't-
with a
that's not
speed
bad.
detector
Most
that
of
the
the
sheriff
trucks-
department
Yeah, we
puts
can
up
get
is
that.
very
Yeah.
effective
Right.
in places.
Ask for that, or Jim can ask for that.
And then, because the Tisco has their, in Tisco, they have their own there.
Mhm.
They by the church, by the fire department, it's a permanent one.
I'll tell you what's
And
noisy.
so I've had
We've got two
people,
conversations going on.
Some of them are louder.
Oh my God, they're twice as loud as the.
And I think, I don't, some of the motorcycles, guys think it's something to have a noisy one. And they take the stock muffler off and
Oh,
put
yeah.
one that makes it more noisy.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that can be done about that?
oh,
When you live,
folks.
when you live across the road from them and they
Yeah.
come down and they have to roar into their yard, and then when they leave, they have to roar out. And we hear that some days all day long
Mhm.
and all night long.
Mhm. I don't know what the answer to that is. As a town board, I don't know what we can really do about trucks and motorcycles. Don?
We don't have anything to say about a state highway,
Right,
even
Right.
a county.
right,
So
right,
Sheriffs and state police.
right. So I guess it's up to the individual to call
complain.
and complain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are limited here with the Preble Town Board as far as what we can do. Anybody else have any questions or comments of anything?
I got one thing that was brought up to me, some of the playground equipment that was purchased, is setting in the grass, and we were wondering or I was asked if we could be sued because it's not anchored down. There's no age limits on the playground or weight limits or, I mean, everything else had to be in sawdust or gravel or something, and it's just setting on the grass now, so I
Is it
don't
all
know.
set up? Is it all
Yeah,
assembled?
I think it's all set up.
One was
Kids
set
are playing on it.
One was set up outdoors for all that kind of airplane type of teeter-totter. And for some reason it was put in under the pavilion, so it's in there now.
It is?
Playing it with it on the cement.
No, I don't know what, this it's locked up in there, the doors are down.
The wooden one.
It's kind of an airplane type of thing. It's not that wooden playhouse.
The wooden playhouse is outside.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's not
outside.
anchored down or nothing. I just don't want to get sued because somebody gets hurt on it or it was brought to my attention. That's why
I'll
I'm
have to
bringing
talk
it
to
up.
Renee about it. Talk to Renee. Anybody else with anything?
On the senior center or like for dinners and things, is there any location where they would be available to us?
Well, years ago, we used the fire station, right? And we would probably go back to using the fire station for those events. And we'd probably start small and say there's a senior event, a dinner or whatever, a lunch, and whoever wants to come can come, and we'll monitor how many people show up at these things. If we don't have much response, then there's not much we can do. But if we find there's a demand for these activities, then we can develop some kind of a program.
From my understanding, it's got to go before the commissioners
Mm-hmm.
and say yay or nay. And from, if they say, no, we don't want it there. Now, we do have two churches that I have heard that would be possibly able to do it, but nothing official. So, I mean, there's a problem with both churches, there's stairs. You know, the fire station's a really nice level place. So.
Right.
And the town keeps it plowed out and salted and sanded and it'd be a lot safer overall.
Because that's, Virgil does, their location is in the town hall, but I understand it's not from here, but.
Yeah, this town hall would not be suitable for
Right,
something like
no,
that.
It's not.
But the fire station would
Yeah,
be, but again, it has to go before the fire department and they have to determine whether that's a good use of their space or not. And, you know, to have a separate building for seniors is not really
Yeah.
appropriate for us at this
Feasible,
time. It's not feasible, right?
Right, I
Right.
understand that.
So, but it was good. It was good to have Cindy come in and talk to us about it.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Let me go back and make one comment on the
Okay.
noise, on
Right.
the truck noise and so
Okay.
forth. So New York State does have a law regulating noise from vehicles, motor vehicle sound level limits. And so it specifies based on a whole combination of stuff, and you might want to read the law. It's on the NewYorkSenate.gov website. So I look for sound or noise laws, and I found it. And I can share this link out on Facebook or something if you like. But it specifies the decibels that a vehicle can generate. So what you would need to do is go out, put an app on your phone, listen to a loud truck, measure the decibels, and then you would have to report it into probably the state police or somebody if that's what you felt. I mean, there's nothing that we can really do to enforce that, but that's your best enforcement. I agree that, the first thing is call your neighbor and say, hey, this is kind of loud. But that's, as you said, Don, I mean, we don't have any jurisdiction over those roads.
No, really.
And so, but New York State does, and it's got these laws. So that would be, rather than there's nothing we could do, that would be the best you could do. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the state police or state DOT, but last time I checked, our local sheriff, they don't have a decibel meter.
Hmm.
So there's no way for them you have to be trained. It has to be calibrated like a DWI
Mhm.
breathalyzer.
Mm.
And last I checked, was within the last year or two.
Oh, okay.
They did not have one. because
so
we,
enforcement's a problem.
another town was designing a noise ordinance, not so much for traffic, but just neighborly noise.
Mhm.
And there was, at that time, the sheriff did not have a decibel reading machine or capability to make a determination based on, but I think maybe state DOT or maybe the state police might.
But I mean, I think that if you're going to do anything, that's your place to start.
Good
Yeah,
idea.
you know,
Just the idea
Absolutely.
that it was brought up.
Yeah.
And it's probably such a small town, and you don't even have to put it on Facebook, that'll be all over town.
Mhm.
So that's
Well-
a beginning.
Okay.
Facebook's the answer.
Well, I meant I could put the link to the law. Okay. Well,
Okay, anybody else?
That's a good idea.
With anything? Hank, how's everything going at the park?
Great.
The mowing is going okay, and the new tractor? Okay, good, good,
Nice out there, if I do say so.
good, okay, good. Okay, so we'll pay some bills, and then after that, we will go back to the procurement policy for the last item that we'll do. Anybody who wants to sit through going through the procurement policy is free to stay, otherwise you can leave. Okay, we need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion, pay general fund vouchers, abstracts number 9, numbers 178 to 197, totaling $4,913.93.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. We need a motion to pay the the highway fund vouchers.
I make a motion that we pay the highway fund vouchers, abstract number 9, numbers 85 to 94, totaling $18,101.23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, good. So we'll go over the procurement policy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jeff.
highway, Jeff.
I need to back up a little bit.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
We already paid you.
We missed you
Okay, have a good night.
earlier.
Yeah, just a few things that I need to go over quick. If I miss any, John, let me know.
We'll
Two
do
of them are legalese type, and I just wanted to let the board know
it.
that.
Well, the name change, we can pass a resolution and do that. We really won't need to do much more than that. If you choose to change the name of the road,
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to leave that late too long. 'Cause
yeah,
it's-
you can do that.
Okay. So basically, as far as what's needed to do the resolution to change it from East Clark Road to Henderson Road.
So I move that we change the name of East Clark Road to Henderson Road in honor of Ann Henderson,
Second.
prior town historian and supervisor.
Second.
Dave seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, you got that done?
The other thing kicks in a little bit, the legalese. I've been asked to do some improvements outside of our right of way on Mount Toppin Road. And I just need to want to let you know, I'll be contacting Don. I think we just need to send letters and get some signatures. And I'll come up with some specs on that. What else would we need?
Is it so we're outside the public right of way?
Yeah,
Are we?
a couple feet, but I don't need to get in trouble.
You're looking for a temporary easement, or are you looking for like a drainage easement or something where you build some,
Actually widen that section of road.
so then,
These gully washer rainstorms we've had, yeah, it'd be partially drainage, but it's been a maintenance headache, and a couple of people up there would like to see something done. I don't blame them. I gotta have a little more to.
yeah, we would need to contact those folks, confirm per their, deed, who actually is the owner. And ideally, I mean, the problem with an easement, I can draw up an easement. The problem with an easement is, as with any kind of conveyance, is we need a legal description. We need some finite, so I can describe the area. So, okay, they're giving us a 4-foot by 10-foot or 20-foot by 20-foot area.
Mhm.
And it's got to, ideally you have a survey to show the area so you can legally describe it. Because So we could talk about that some more, but, and I don't know if the county highway would have any services that would assist us with that or not. But,
I've had good luck with them.
okay, all right.
They got the plate full right now, and my point to that is I'd like to get going on it this winter, so
Sure.
it'll come spring.
Sure.
It's nothing that we need to bend over for right now. I
Okay.
hope. The other thing too was, I chatted with the highway committee. I'm in hopes that the Bridge New York is renewed next year. And what I would like to do, estimates are around $300,000 to put the culvert in on Curry Cross Road. And it's an engineering pain in the butt because you're in the Tiapanoga River. So I'd like to start the ball rolling to get the engineering done. We're looking at approximately $30,000 come out of our bridge and highway, our bridge fund. But that would give us a leg up when it does come grant time to have what they call shovel ready projects. They love shovel ready. They have, ready to go. It's just a big feather in your cap for any grant, whether we go to Senator Seward or, try to get any grant, it just helps. So I'd really like to look into doing that. Of course, that's money that's, what do I want to call it?
It's
we
in
got
your
it.
reserve account,
Reserve account, thank you.
you're right. Yep. So
So
we
anyway.
would need to authorize that subject to permissive referendum. That's the only catch.
And we would need 3 price quotes on that too, right?
Well, that kind of segues into what we're going to lead into,
Right.
but for professional services, that's an exception to the rule. But going back to Jeff's request, by authorizing spending save up to with withdrawing up to 30,000, you're not saying you actually approve spending it. You're just authorizing the withdrawal of the money from the account. And then you would solicit proposals from engineering firms. And again, it's for professional services. That's generally an exception to the competitive bid requirement. So you can, like, something for proposals, RFP, request for proposal,
Right.
I think.
Right.
So you can solicit proposals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And by authorizing up to that, you would be ready to then act on a proposal versus getting the proposal, then authorizing, and you got to wait the 30 days.
Right.
So however you wanted to proceed.
Mm-hmm. Is that something we can do now?
You can.
We can.
Yeah, it's in your reserve account, Jim.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's just a matter of authorizing up to that amount for engineering, hiring an engineering firm to get you a plan for Curry Road culvert.
Okay, so
I move that we allocate $30,000 from our bridge reserve fund, subject to permissive referendum, for engineering work to be done on the Curry Road culvert.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
I
Carried. Okay. Jeff, next.
Okay, sorry. Have you seen anything from the county on the plowing contract now that it's September? Have you gotten any letter or anything?
I haven't got anything.
Okay, I will check on that because that was a 1-year contract, correct? That we signed last November 1st, I think.
I believe so.
I just don't want to, like county. waits
You may
till
want to
last
make a
minute.
phone call, Jeff, and just.
Yeah, I just.
We submitted it.
Mm-hmm. We submitted it. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if we.
I don't know the status of it.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I don't
Yeah.
go saying, hey, where is it? And they said, well, they mailed it out,
Let me
last
double
week
check.
or
Let me
something.
double check on that, Jeff.
Okay, thank you. The other thing, what's going on? Dale is going to be retiring here in a couple months. I got in contact with a net barber down at the county personnel department, and he in the civil service job. I don't, technically, according to her, he has to be gone before I can hire anybody. And then, which leaves us with a bump in the road, if you will. And her recommendation to not have that happen is to actually create another position. So you can put out for applications, get interviews, whatever, to hire somebody. And then when he retires, that position is vacant. That is not vacated, it's retired. That position doesn't exist anymore. But technically, I guess, and this is all new to me, anybody's the civil service stuff, but I just don't want to get where we're, getting in a jam because we didn't dot our I's and cross our T's, so.
Especially look at Dale's retiring date. It's December 31st. It's right in the snow season.
Right in the middle, and it's
So-
nice to have somebody.
So I think it's
on board.
obvious we're gonna need to overlap that job a little bit.
And the other catch to that is talking to people in this industry right now, Dave, you can't get good people. It just makes my hair stand up, to be honest with you, just thinking how many people you're gonna either interview, hire, they're not gonna work out, you have to do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
This day and age, the farm boys that could fix everything are long gone.
Mhm.
It's just I wave, but it's just frustrating to know that
And
after
the-
talking to other people.
And the other thing, Jeff, is so many people have moved south.
Mhm.
I mean, we have lost a lot of population that have gone south to higher
There's a lot
paying
of-
jobs.
The talent, the smarter people that can do this type of, and it's not just driving around all day. That's
Mhm.
the catch. You don't want the guy that just thinks you can just drive around. There's a
Mhm,
lot more to the job.
mhm.
So I would ask the board to consider that. And let me think. And I'll make a couple more comments.
Okay, let's make a motion
Do we have to act on, or do we have to, for,
to create a new position.
That's a good question. I'm thinking,
it's in the highway department.
I think Jeff, you can create the position. If you want the board to approve that, that's fine.
I just like
But-
everybody know what's going on.
Yeah.
Is what I want to know. So everybody's up and up with it. So.
Well, wouldn't hurt.
You wanna
to have
approve
I
it,
think
that's
it-
fine.
It wouldn't hurt to have it on the record
That's fine.
that we would like to create a
I
new
agree
position
with you. I think-
in the highway department called medium equipment operator.
And with the understanding when Dale retires, that position
Right.
is retired.
Right.
We're not gonna fill
Understood.
his.
Right.
It's just a.
Well, even if you don't, we're not gonna raise your budget, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Cover the first rate.
All right, so we need a motion to do this.
I'll make a motion, we create a medium equipment operator position for the town highway department.
Second,
I'll second that.
go ahead. How you go?
Second that.
Okay. Jim seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried? Okay, good, Jeff.
Okay, and the only other thing, we've been spending some time down here, and actually a couple things. The contract for painting and replacing the cedar shingles. It took on a little bit of urgency last week when we're seeing a bunch of red squirrels around here. They kept tucking up underneath actually the new mailbox little shanty out back, but I don't know where they're going. And it'd be really nice to tighten this building up, not have any openings in it. Everybody knows what red squirrels do when they move in, they don't move out.
Yeah.
So, Jay, you talked to the gentleman, have you? Or not?
Oh, no, I
Okay.
haven't yet. I was gonna wait till after this town board meeting to figure out what you guys wanted to do as far as wrapping up the building and different things like that. you know.
Painting this time of year is probably gonna be out, the weather's gonna start getting
Right.
crappy, but
Right.
if you could split that contract and do something, to get these cedar shake shingles replaced and
Right.
repaired and
Right.
I'd hate to see red squirrels
Right.
come in here.
I do have a meeting tomorrow. He called me today. I do have
Okay.
a meeting with him tomorrow. He's starting the fire department tomorrow, so.
Oh,
Well, so this falls into that same category as, we've got money in the reserve, right? Because I mean, we're spending most of our budget on the paving, right? So
We've got,
it's
like,
not clear that we have money in the general fund for this, but we do have money in the reserve.
Mhm.
So even if we just get the shingles replaced this year.
Well, but I mean, if we approve the money out of the reserve, it doesn't matter what fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, the payments can
Right.
spread however they get spread.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have plenty of money in the hall renovation capital projects fund. We've got $78,000 in there. So
what were we thinking? We were thinking it was gonna be like 2025 for the whole thing, the cupola and the painting and stuff. I mean, kind of that,
For everything being what?
the cupola.
That was, I can't find the original estimate from 8 or 9 years ago, but they were talking, I wanted to say like 8,000 for that.
Right, and then it was
Basically
like
building a new one.
And then it was like 15 or so for the painting and stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
budget numbers still to get refined and final contract, that sort of thing. So we're looking at like 20 up to 25K, right? If we had 25,000 bucks allocated, then you guys could probably get contracts that would fit in that. So
Yeah, I think you're about on target with that, Don.
yeah, and so then we would need a permissive, or we would need a statement to withdraw that money subject to permissive referendum.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So I'll make a motion that we allocate $25,000 to the repair of the outside of the building, including the painting, the shingles,
and the cupola.
So that we allocate up to $25,000 out of the reserve, subject to permissive referendum.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, and who's going to spearhead that? Jay?
So Jay's getting the contract.
You're going to follow up on this and just,
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll bring it through the building committee. and
Yep.
right,
and
right.
So forth that way. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to the painter Don tomorrow,
Okay,
and maybe we're looking at this year, just getting it wrapped up this year, and then everything else maybe next year.
I think you just give them the whole, say, we want to get this done, you lay out the schedule, but this is what we have to get done.
Weather permitting, and his
Yeah.
schedule permitting too.
Yeah, but I'm saying, this is our highest priority, just sealing it up so that the red squirrels don't get in, right?
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll chat with him.
Yeah.
Probably tonight.
Okay.
And just a quick update on the Outback. We took about 5 inches of gravel off of that, and I can picture what happened is there used to be grass out there, and then they put a little gravel out there because we took 5 inches of gravel off, and it was topsoil and not a rock in it for about 8 or 9 inches. So the other problem, did a good job, but that parking lot, it's 85 feet from the corner of the building to the back roughly, and it had less than 1.5 inches of run in it. It was perfectly flat, so everything just sat there. So obviously, with things going on, we got to get some kind of pitch so we don't have puddles and like that. So that's what you see is that we dug out, we found all sorts of neat stuff out there. There's a concrete with a piece of pipe sticking out of it. We found some other chunks of concrete here and there. Of course, originally, I think I may have showed some of you the picture of the big piece from the Scobe antenna that was there that we took out, estimated weight of around 10 ton. And my whole point to this, we're going to do it right. I don't want 5 years from now having the thing even and all that stuff. So we're putting up, basically it's going to run out, and we got to pick up actually 5 different points of contact. Sidewalk out front, loading dock steps, of course the outside sidewalk, and this one over here doesn't matter that much, but then we pick up the boxes out back too. We've got to not run water to the boxes or anything. So there's more going on than just throwing some blacktop out.
Do you have to put any dry well in or anything?
I
like that?
put in 2, you can look at them, they're on the east, closest to the, I'm running everything this way. I didn't want to try to kick it over on, I got some room to put that in over on this side. I didn't want to run over on neighbors that way. And to break it down at 3/16 per foot-ish, because we can't run quite that much and still pick up the boxes, we would have had a close to 2-foot run right out toward the tower, and then we would have had to run it back up somehow. So we're breaking it short of that and then bringing it back a little bit. There's going to be a little sway, probably is the best word, to take care of the water toward a dry well. So here it is. And
Quite a challenge. Yeah,
well,
with all
and
the
it's gonna be
heights.
challenged to pave because it's tight in there. Backing the truck up to the paver is gonna be a pain.
So you gotta bring in a lot of fill, yeah, because you've taken it down, so.
Yeah, taking the fiber, you still got 5.5, and this is roughing it in. Once we get it all squared off, we'll shoot all the grades, make sure everything's running the right way, because the quickest way to save money on this project now is to not put in more than what you want to for the blacktop. Start running a couple, an inch or two deeper, and it gets expensive in a hurry. So we're gonna dial in the base, will be right on. And we'll put our binder and then a top on it. And then this way, you're never gonna have to worry about it again. It'll be done right, but yeah, there wasn't a stone in that. Once you got down 4 to 5 inches, nothing. So we could have thrown grass seed on it again. Just to bring you up to date, but it is what it is at this point. The other thing is I would like general feel, send a letter out to pass it around. Town of Truxton, we've been, since before my time, given 700 ton of sand for doing the far side of East Hill Road.
I haven't seen it.
Well, the price of sand's been going up exponentially, and what I want to propose to Truxton is, and I know it's all hill, but you know, it's just 0.6 of a mile, including the turnaround. So it's getting close to $8,000 what it's costing now. And my proposal, being that it's all hill, is to go double the county rate and see what the bite is. And my point to that is, if they're not a liking to it, offer the same opportunity to Town of Homer, who's up on Dawson Road, to plow it. But it's getting awful expensive to get that hill plowed. So I just want the boards, I don't want to do negotiating without the board knowing what I'm talking about, but it could potentially save us about $4,000 a year. Is what I'm looking at. Plus, the deal was they hauled the sand in, and we did, and then fall of the year there's just too much going on. I just assume it'd be a cash or a money deal and be done with it. Don, any thoughts on that?
Easier on the equipment, isn't it? Write a check. No, you do need authorization from the board, because you're talking about another intermunicipal agreement. And so ultimately, go ahead.
And I think Betty Ann may have signed the last one. I think you signed the last agreement with them back in 2008, I think. The last one I found. So it's up for renewal anyways. It should have been like 12 years ago. So I think it's all coming together that we just need to do something. So any thoughts or?
No, I think you just need some kind of action from the board, giving you authorization
To negotiate.
I have not sent the letter because I didn't feel I was quite there yet, but I'll send it tomorrow or hand deliver it tomorrow at that point.
All right, so we need a resolution to allow Jeff to negotiate terms of this.
It's another intermunicipal agreement for the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Between us and Truxton, or us and Town of Homer.
Right.
For the terms he set forth in that letter.
Okay. So we need to make a motion for that?
I'll move we authorize Jeff to negotiate the municipality agreement for the terms of this draft letter.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
And that's the last time I missed one meeting because it just picked up like crazy. So I apologize, but thanks for, I think the highway committee and buildings and grounds, I think bouncing that around helps keep things moving.
And you'll be out next week on highway school, right? Highway conference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Jeff after all of this? Okay. Okay, good. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for filling us in.
I can have that letter back. It's got some, just waste paper I reuse instead of throwing it out. So I know it's mine.
Okay, so now we'll go over the procurement policy. This policy is done. What year does it say that this was done? Don, was this 2011?
It was approved in November of 11 and effective January of 2012.
Okay,
And it's generally supposed to be reviewed on an annual basis, but
so we could start reading through all of this, or we could just kind of go through it on our own and then talk about points that we want to talk about.
yeah.
So what's the purpose of this? Is this the annual review?
No, this is just, it was discussed a meeting or two ago, and I thought, I don't know if the current board has really ever looked at this.
Okay.
And should it be reviewed, so you maybe re-adopt it the first meeting of the year or the, next month or whatever, but, so that's what prompted it, Don.
Okay.
That it had come up.
Yeah.
Or, we could all take this home and read it. I'm not sure we have to go through this word by word here. Right. At this table.
Yeah, just generally speaking, a purchase contract over 20,000, you'd have to go to competitive bid. Okay, so if you're buying a truck or an equipment of over 20 or more, you've got to do a competitive bid unless there's another exception. Public works contracts, like what you're talking about on the building here, you've got up to 35,000. So if you're under those numbers and there's no exceptions like professional services, then you go to the purchase methods of section 4 that tell you, okay, if you're pricing out the first half of section 4 is for a purchase contract. So it breaks it down between 500 and 3,000, from 3,000 to 10,000 and 10,000 to just below the 20,000 in terms of what we're supposed to be obtaining. And similar for the public works contract, which is the bottom of page 2, leading into the top of page 3. So that's there's more to it than that, but that's the basic outline.
And then you said there was an exception for professional services?
Yep. If you go to page 3, exemptions, 6A.
Okay.
And then they give examples on the top of page 4. And it gives exceptions, like if we had an emergency purchase. Makes sense, right? You had an emergency, you go out and buy it. So they give examples.
Okay.
So and even though this is 7 old or whatever, the 20,000 and 35,000, those remain the same.
I was going to ask that. They haven't been
That
adjusted
level
for-
has not changed.
Okay.
Don, to your knowledge, that's the same for the fire district while they're hashing it. We get a cut on the legal part of this.
I need to confirm, but I would expect it's the same, yeah.
You probably did it 7, 8 years ago also.
Okay. Any questions on the procurement policy? Anybody?
So you might want to put that on your agenda, your beginning of the year agenda or something, Jim, to just maybe re-adopt it. If not before, but just
Re-adopt this procurement policy.
Just reflecting that you reviewed it and you've approved it.
Okay.
Be new board member too.
Yeah, Jane, in our organizational meeting in January, we can say that we
Okay.
that we approved the current procurement policy. Yeah. Okay. So we covered a lot tonight, and now we need a motion to adjourn.
I want to say one thing.
Okay.
Look, thank Spark and Greg for going down to the town park pavilion there. He got up on there and fixed a bunch of the leaks in it. His own time there, and he just went and did it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank him for doing that.
Okay.
He was saying too, fixing these, we'll get a few years out of it. Just get screws all in here, get all the leaks stopped, and so put this fiber paint on it.
Mhm.
And he says that'd buy us a few more years too.
Okay.
So I wish
Okay.
he was still here, but
Yeah. Yeah. I saw the photos. Renee sent me a picture of him up on the roof working on it. So
Yeah, I was up there with him.
you were okay. Okay.
I went up there a year ago and knocked down a lot of those screws or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just, the hole opens up a little bit and they pop up.
Right. Right.
And there's a little rubber seal on
Right.
the top. of it.
They dry out sometimes and they
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
Please be careful.
Yeah.
Right from the attorney's lips.
I know. All right. I will make a point to thank Sparky about that. Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up. Okay, so now we need a motion to adjourn.
Anybody, before we do that, anybody that wants to hand these in to me, you can do it anytime. Just give them to me. And obviously, I go down there 5 days a week, so it's not a big deal.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay.
Okay, so sit down. Sit down.
Take care, Dave.
No, well,
Yeah, I
I
know.
got, that's good stuff. That's something home.
And so you have to click in. So you got one more button.
I do.